My name is Jason Herbert. I'm a Southerner, but I live in Colorado. I'm a historian, I'm an outdoorsman, and I'm a movie buff. I'm curious about the world around us. And this is a reckoning. Hey everybody, welcome to the reboot of this podcast, the rebranding, the re-something. Welcome. This pod was formerly Historians of the Movies podcast and will continue to be HATM in some facet. But we're relaunching today. I spent a lot of time over the weekend thinking about what I wanted HATM to be, what I wanted this podcast to be, what I wanted my writing to be. And over the last, 6-7 months, I have continued to pour more and more of myself into this pod. And as you've probably been listening, Reckoning episodes have started to take over and do more and more of the lifting here. And that's for a reason, right? If you guys are listening in, if you're just now coming to the pod, you know that I'm a historian. I hold a PhD in American history. I've got a focus on indigenous and environmental history. Working on my first book about early Florida. The second book is already underway, as I'm thinking about it right now, but I have to finish this first one first. I wanted to do more things with this pod than what maybe historians and movies from the outside sounded like it could do. It's been amazing running this watch party for the last 8 years, and we're going to continue to do so. But it couldn't do everything that I wanted it to do. There are too many things that I want to talk about. There are too many things that I want to discuss. There are too many things on my mind. And as amazing as the HATM community has been over the last 8 years, it's almost isolated. People come to it. They're either historians or they're film buffs, or they know us from Twitter or from Blue Sky. But it's been hard to attract an audience beyond that. And I want to take what we've done, this idea of what we have here together, and make it bigger. I want to bring it to other people. So what you're listening to today is not a change of operations. It's more of a change in name than anything else. But I want to expand the things that we talk about, the things that we think about. I want to be a voice on another level. And the only way to do that is to take a risk here, which means maybe changing up the things that we do just a little bit by changing the name and saying, hey, wait a second. We're now reckoning. So let's talk quickly about what you're going to hear, what's going to happen moving forward. Historians of the Movies podcast will continue on. You're still going to get the same movie episodes on Thursdays as you always have, with myself or with some guest hosts. John Wyatt Greenlee has come on now. He's just recorded his second podcast today, so you're going to hear him take over a little bit of that because he's amazing. But we're going to continue to do other episodes. We're going to continue to have on Nobel winners and Pulitzer winners. I've got a Pulitzer winner lined up for you now. We're going to have scientists and politicians, and we're going to have all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life. We're going to have wiremen down in Texas. We're going to have educators in California. We're going to have all kinds of different people coming to you just because I want to have these kinds of conversations. I want to open up the world. I've just got questions around it, right? Which is the whole idea behind this term reckoning. I know it sounds ominous, and to a degree that's probably, it's more than a little intentional, right? I like the idea of there's a reckoning coming. But my grandfather, who was my hero in life, used to say when he would think about a thing, he's like, I'm reckoning this, I reckon that, and so forth. When he'd come to a conclusion, I reckon this, right? And Granddaddy was just, for me, he was the moon. He was the sun. He was the stars. He was everything I ever wanted to be. And in some ways, calling this reckoning is maybe an ode to my roots as a Southerner. It's certainly an honorific to my grandfather, Billy Joe Chadwick. But more than anything else, it's the idea that we are thinking through things on this podcast. So that's not to say that things won't be silly, as they kind of always have been around here. The first and foremost goal out here has always been to create community and have fun. That's what we're going to continue to do. But for now, we're resetting. We're repositioning. And I think trying to present what we've been doing now for the last 8 years, and certainly in the last 2.5 years on this podcast, to a wider audience. So if you have been here, thank you so very much. If today's the first time you're coming to this pod, let me introduce yourself to me just quickly. My name is Jason Herbert. I'm a Southerner, like I was telling you a little bit earlier. I grew up in the South, in Kentucky, in Louisiana, and Tennessee, and Kentucky all the way again. I'm not really an academic by training. I kind of come to this late in my life. I how do I put this? I flunked out of college when I was a kid twice out of Murray State University, and then went back to school when I was 31. But that was after a career of selling cars and selling mortgages, and neither of which I was particularly great at. But they did give me a certain vocabulary and a certain way of doing things that I think maybe makes me a little bit different. I grew up in the woods. I grew up hunting and fishing and hiking, and I still do all of those things, though not as much as I would like to these days. I'm deeply invested in public lands and working with people. Got my PhD at the University of Minnesota. I wrote my dissertation on early Florida, like I was telling you. Worked for a while for a tribe down in Florida. It was an amazing experience. I taught high school down there as well. And now I work for the Forest Service as a tribal liaison out here in Colorado. And I should probably go ahead and tell you that none of my thoughts or actions or words on this podcast or in my writing represent that of the federal government or anyone else other than myself. So just trying to stay, not because I'm worried about saying the wrong thing or do anything like that, but I just want to make sure I'm doing things the right way. Really love the outdoors. Really love science. Love movies. Love my kids. I got 2 boys down in Florida. So, and being away from them is the hardest thing in the world. What else? I guess that's about it today. If you've been listening to this pod for a while, you know who I am by now. But it felt odd to put a new title on this podcast and not announce it to the world, not have you guys listen in to what this is and stuff. So if you've been with me for the last 8 years, thank you so very much. We're going to push now. We're going to push this even harder than we've ever pushed this before. That's what we're in for here today. We're going to push. We want to emerge on a national level now. It's time. We spent the last 2.5 years really getting our bearings, learning how to talk to people, learning what we could and could not do. Now it's time to enter the fray. So I am so glad that you're here. If you want to support us, you can find me on jasonherbert.substack.com. Continue to listen here. Share this podcast with your friends. We have a new podcast arriving tomorrow on the history of axe murder. So get ready. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got another pod arriving later this week about women in film, women filmmakers with an amazing scholar named Kevin Smokler. He's a good friend of mine, and he's amazing. So we've got so much stuff coming for you so very, very soon. So this was your quick announcement to say, hey, we're not going anywhere. In fact, we are going bigger. So welcome to Reckoning with Jason Herbert. And I hope you will continue to listen in. I hope you'll share this podcast with your friends and tell anyone you know about it. And thank you so much for being here. So we'll have a new website up soon. We're going to have some production values ramping up quickly, too. We've got some new stuff coming on shortly. But I didn't want to wait to get this in for you. I wanted to get this up for you now. So welcome to Reckoning, and I hope you're having a great Monday, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.